Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katri and today I'm going to talk about my 10 best books of 2024 so far. Alright guys, so as the title says, we are talking about my 10 best books of 2024 so far. Number 10 is The Case for Christ. This is by Lee Strobel. I read this just last month in June. It is a Christian nonfiction book, and I rated this 4 stars. Guys, this was very, very good. I think this is the only nonfiction I have on this list right now. And in general, I think for the end of the year, I'm gonna split and do my rating of nonfiction and fiction separately. But for this one, I figured, you know, I hadn't had that many like amazing books this year. I only picked, when I was going through, 10. Isn't that amazing? I only picked 10 books to begin with, so I was like, well, that's perfect. I'm not gonna bother about fiction or nonfiction. But this is a book about a journalist who went on a search to basically build a case against Christ, was his initial like intent, and to kind of prove that he didn't really exist or he wasn't who he said he was. And so he goes through all of these interviews that he has with people, and I very heavily underlined this one. And he basically comes to the conclusion that there's more historical and all these different things. He went through very different avenues than just like archaeological avenues of how we have more proof for Jesus than we do a lot of historical figures. So I very much enjoyed it. There were a lot of good things in this. My reading vlog has more in-detailed thoughts on this, so if you'd like to know more about it, I would suggest going on over there. All right, and then number 9 is Operation Happy. This is by Jenny L. Walsh, and this is one that I read on audiobook as an ARC. So this is a middle grade historical fiction. I read this back in May, and I did rate this a 4.75 stars. I really enjoyed it. It is following a survivor of Pearl Harbor, a young girl and her dog. So it deals with some heavy topics, but it also has a bit of a lighter tone to it throughout some points because it is from a girl and dog's perspective. So I really enjoyed it. I will say this list is not in any means by like star ratings. I do my star ratings very specifically, and I feel like everybody's a little bit different. So I always kind of have the genre that I'm reading in mind when I rate that book. So this is a middle grade historical fiction, and the other one was a Christian nonfiction. So it's kind of, you know what I mean? Like I rate it by that genre, and certain things in that genre I'll rate for more. Maybe one of these days I'll do just a video on how my brain works and why I rate things the way I do. If you want to see a video like that, let me know in the comments, but my rating is a little all over the place. But that is number 9. I really enjoyed it, and I really especially enjoyed it on audiobook. I don't do audiobooks much, and I am not the biggest fan of them, but this one I like really enjoyed on audiobooks. All right, and then number 8 is Spy Family Volume 1 specifically. I did rate this one 5 stars. I read this back in March, and it is a manga. So this is the first volume of the Spy Family manga series, and I have read the second volume. It wasn't quite a 5-star for me. This one, I just loved the way that they started it out, the comedic relief in this one, the fun-loving, but the adventure. I just felt like it was a perfect tone of everything in this first one, and it really made me excited to continue reading. Just because the second one didn't quite hit it does not mean I am no less excited to read more, but I really enjoyed this one, and I was quite surprised that it did get a 5 stars from me. This was my first 5-star of the year. So yeah, this is by I don't know if you can read that, but I can't say his name, Tatsuna Endo. It's about a spy who has to go undercover for a mission, and in order to be undercover, he needs a wife and a child, a family. So he basically acquires these things, and it's like a funny, but also like it has an action adventure plot thing to it. And so he's a spy. His wife, who he picks, is an assassin, which none of them know that the other one is, you know, what they are. And then the girl is a telepath, so the little girl is the only one that actually knows everybody's secrets. It's very lighthearted, very funny. I have heard there's some content coming up in later volumes, but I haven't gotten there yet, so I can't speak much on that myself yet. All right, and then at number 7, we have Cinder by Marissa Meyer. This is the first book in the Lunar Chronicles. So this is a sci-fi fairy tale retelling, and Cinder is for Cinderella. So she kind of like mirrors that. I wasn't sure what I was going to think about this one with the sci-fi and the fairy tale retelling combined, but I think Marissa Meyer did this very, very well. I was honestly quite like surprised and really enjoyed this one. I gave this one a 4.5. I read it last month in June. I'm so excited to continue the series, and yeah, I flew through this one. I think I read it in like a day and a half or two, something like that. It was very quick and easy for me. It's got beautiful art. I love the new covers. I know I've seen pictures of like the old covers and I didn't realize it was the same series, but the new covers are so much prettier in my opinion. And then they also have little cover art, though I have been warned not to look at the cover art for all of them until after I've read, because some of the cover art the inside cover art has spoilers. So yeah, but this is number 7. Really enjoyed this one and excited to continue on with this series. All right, at number 6, we have Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This was a 4.25 stars for me, guys. This is a romance, a rom-com, YA. It is clean, no spice in it. This was so much fun. At the beginning of every chapter, it has a little rom-com like quote right before the chapter begins. You see like up there, and I loved that aspect. This is kind of a rivals to friends to lovers, I guess. I really loved the dynamic. I loved how this played out. There were a few little parts that I didn't love as much, but all in all, I really loved it. And if the author had done a tiny few things differently, it probably would have been a 5-star for me, because I have kept thinking about this long past. I want to reread it. I'm excited for the sequel coming out. I hope Lynn Painter doesn't do us dirty. But I loved this. It was very nice. It also has the fake dating trope in it too, which I love the fake dating trope. And this I read back in January, so yeah, it wasn't quite a 5 stars, but it is definitely in my top. It's number 6, so I love this book. All right, and now we get to the top 5 books. So at number 5 is The Cursed Princess Club. What else, guys? This is by Lamcat. This is a graphic novel series that was a webtoon and is now being reprinted and drawn into a graphic novel, and it is so good. The art is so pretty, so beautiful. The story is so compelling. Lamcat really did something quite amazing with this. There are a few content warnings in this, because there is some partial nudity at times, and there is some same-sex relationships and some jokes about that. They're all like side things in smaller amounts, but there is a little bit of that. And so because of that, this was not a 5-star series for me, but it was a 4.5-star series for me. I really loved it. If it wasn't for those content, it would have been a 5-star. So yeah, and this was one that definitely surprised me this year, but I really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for a graphic novel, especially to get into, I would definitely recommend this one if you're okay with those tiny little bits on the side. All right, and then coming in at number 4 is Not Since You by Dulcie Dameron. I read this in March, and this was a 4.5 for me also. This is a Christian contemporary romance novel. It was my very first Christian contemporary romance novel, and it got so close to 5-star feels. Like, it was right there on the edge. And I think I wrote down 4.5, but for some reason I thought it was 4.75, so I'm not sure like which I feel about it. It's either 4.5 or 4.75. I don't know. But this was so good. So good. The themes of forgiveness is basically one giant theme that is just throughout the book and surrounding the main story. And it was done so wonderfully, so beautifully. The faith elements, while not being overbearing at all, were very nice, light, honest, real. It felt very genuine, and I really enjoyed these characters. I just loved it. So if you're looking for a new Christian contemporary romance and you haven't read this one, I would definitely suggest it. So it's also a second chance romance. That's what it is, which I don't normally lean to second chance romance. So I was quite surprised that I loved this one as much as I did. All right, guys, and now the top 3 books. The top 3 books on my year so far. And number 3 is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Guys, what else? What else? This book I read, I started in January and I finished it in February, so it took me a bit longer. This is over 500 pages. This is an abridged version and the original is over 1,000 pages. So for any of you who have read the over 1,000 pages, like, I applaud you. I applaud you because I was applauding myself just getting through this that was like 550 or so. I rated this a 4.25 stars, and this is a classic novel. It follows Edmond Dantes, who he basically gets stabbed in the back by some people and he loses his love and his life and he gets sent to prison, and then he ends up coming out of that and seeking his revenge. It has got all the drama that you could ever like ask for, but it's in a classic. It's so eloquently done. It doesn't seem or feel like the way that like nowadays dramas do, and they just feel so like, this just felt so raw and real and like, oof, like it is a drama, but it just, I don't know, it felt different. It felt different to me, but like in all the best ways. I loved this book. I was thoroughly engrossed in this book. And Edmond Dantes has become one of my all-time favorite characters from this book too. I mean, oh my goodness. If you guys haven't read this, I highly recommend that you do. I know it's long. Take your time, read it over a couple months, but read it like, I feel like you can't be disappointed by reading this. So, all right, and number 2 is Anne of Avonlea. This is the second book in the Anne of Green Gables series, and this is by Ellen Montgomery. This is a classic. I guess it's considered like children's, but it is like a classic. The first one was a 5-star for me, and I was kind of surprised that this one was also a 5-star for me. Not because I didn't like love the first one, but because a lot of times I do end up liking the first one in a series and still enjoying the series, but not loving the other books as much. That's just kind of been my track record with quite a few different series, but this one was amazing. Ellen Montgomery has such a way with words, so poetic, so beautiful. The way she can paint a picture in your head is truly tremendous, like amazing. And I love this book. I love this series so far. I can't wait to get my hands on the 3rd one. I'm gonna try to continue to get in this nice Puffins Classic edition because I love these covers. And I read this in May, so not too long ago, and I was very happy to get this one. So Anne of Green Gables is my 2nd favorite book of this entire year, and honestly, it's probably the prettiest cover, if I'm gonna be honest. My favorite book probably has my 2nd favorite cover, but this one, yeah. So honorable award mention for the best cover of 2024 so far. Right, guys, and what we've all been waiting for is my number 1 book of 2024. Which book did I like the most? And if you've been here a while, you probably know what I'm going to say since you've seen the other books. And that is Love and Other Goals, guys, by Tracy Bach. Oh my goodness. I love this book. And how cute is this cover? It's seriously my 2nd favorite after the Anne of Avonlea cover. Like, that's so pretty. Guys, Tracy Bach is a new author. This is her debut novel, and it just came out last month. I was blessed by her and her ARC team to pick me as one of the ARC readers, and I got to read it early. And as soon as it became available, I went and grabbed the copy, and I'm gonna need to reread this and annotate the crap out of it because I love it. What more can I say about this? This is wonderful. This is amazing. I've never seen the faith element of a book done so naturally and well than in this book. Like, it's not overbearing or like the whole purpose or whatever of the story, but these 2 characters do serve on a ministry team on the college campus that they go to. So there is like a prevalent, like, this is part of their lives. There is scripture quoted, there is, you know, talk of prayer, there's a lot of stuff that revolves around it. It was just done so nice and naturally. And I've even heard from other reviewers too who don't normally read faith content that it didn't seem overbearing all to them, that they found it interesting to read about. So I wouldn't necessarily say if you're not into it that, you know, just throw this out of your mind either, because it was so good. It was so good. Guys, the communication in this was beautiful. I have a full review for this one too, so I really shouldn't talk about it a lot, but it was beautiful. So obviously college romance, sports romance, soccer in particular. We have a main male character, Cinnamon Roll. He falls first. Faith elements. There's a girl group. She's in a sorority. Honestly, guys, just like communication, love notes. Like if he wanted to, he would. That is like the epitome of this book. So if you guys haven't picked this up, you guys need to pick this up. You need to pick this up. I know it's also on Kindle Unlimited, or it's on Kindle. I'm not sure if it's on Kindle Unlimited. What's the difference? I don't have a Kindle. I know you can get it on Kindle. I don't know whether it's free through Unlimited or what, but you can get it on Kindle because I know that's cheaper. But yeah, I just had to have a physical copy. So this is my #1 book of the year, guys. #1 book. All right, guys, so that is my top 10 favorite books of this year so far. Of course, we still have 6 more months to go. I am very curious to see how many of these books will be knocked off within the next 6 months, you know? I think that's gonna be so interesting to see if any stay or how they will move in the chart, depending on like what books I read and how good the books will be. So I'm really excited to just keep reading and see where my reading takes me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found some maybe good recommendations from it, and I would love to know what your top 10 favorite books are of the year so far. Also, leave it in the comments down below. All right, bye guys.